13 years since I got my undergraduate degree. Or my bachelor's, I should say. Okay, I'm having lots of thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all genders, for the first time since the last time, it is that time, right about that time, for your favorite Pokemon challenge and mine. My name is Sebastian Todd the Third. You may call me ST3. I use he, him pronouns, and this is the SoulSilver gift only randomizer Nuzlocke episode 3. If you've been with us for the entirety of the series, I know it's a mouthful to say, but if you've been with us for the entirety of the Pokemon SoulSilver gift only randomizer Nuzlocke, hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell to be notified when episodes go up. They should be going up every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and happy Friday to all of you. This is episode 3, so if you have not yet seen episodes 1 or 2, they are in the playlist on the channel. Go check them out and come back here. And welcome back. Thanks for checking this out. The idea of this, as you just saw, is we cannot use any Pokemon other than the Pokemon that are given to us. So with that, let's meet the Pokemon on the team. We have an egg that we got from Professor Elm via the assistant. You know the drill after you beat the first gym here in SoulSilver. We have... Actually, let's see. Doesn't seem close to hatching. I didn't think so. It hasn't been long in the party. We have Brodicon, our level 19 for Alligator. He is one of the gifts we received ever so thankfully from Primo. And Brodicon has Mold Breaker with Scratch, Leer, Water Gun, and Bite. We have Danders, the Don't Sleep on Me, level 11 Chatot. White Smoke for the ability Pet Growl and Mirror Move the moves. Denny P67 with the Experience Share. This is a quick footed Tyranitar with Bite Leer. Sandstorm and Screech. And then, of course, our starter after the 3 Primos. Our starter with Trace, level 10. Alaska. The Rampardos named after Alaska, one of my aunt's favorite places, and yet again, a little belated now on Friday. Happy birthday to my aunt. But Headbutt, Leer, Focus, Energy, and Pursuit. The moves for Alaska. It is Friday. Happy Friday to you all. I hope you have enjoyed your week so far. If it's been a work week for you, I hope it's been a good week. A good work week for you. I hope everything's gone as well as it can. Before we go down there, we're getting some repels because just moments ago when we wrapped up episode 2, boy, oh boy, did we run into encounters in that grass. So let us buy some repels. But yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for checking out the series. Excuse me. Drink your water. It's important. Recycle your bottles afterward. As we mentioned, we're recording. This is record day. A couple days this week to edit, get things prepped to go. But once we wrap up the drinking of that water, will be 112 ounces, I do believe, for the day. So yeah. But thank you for checking out. I hope you are enjoying it. I hope that this is a little bit new. I know we went back to Gen 4 remakes after we did Heart Gold in the first series. As I mentioned, I really thought that this would be a good one for a few reasons. One, there's a decent number of gift Pokemon, and I wanted to do something a little bit different than just a straight up Nuzlocke. And I'm not confident yet enough in my ability to do. There's a series I think is going to be. I really want to do it. It's an idea that's been in my head for a very long time. I don't think that my editing skills are quite there. But we're getting closer every day. But I think maybe that'll be series 4, maybe Series 5. The other thing, too, is I want that to be in a game that I'm very comfortable in, which might unfortunately be like Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Fire Red, Leaf Green, something like that. Um, and I won't exactly say why yet, but there's a reason I'll explain at the beginning of that series, whether that's series 4 or later. Um, so I also know that we're on our third series and really essentially we're only 2 gens really, right? Because I guess it doesn't really count because if we did platinum right now or diamond, it would be Gen 4. So, but the point is, I have an idea or two up my sleeve that we will get to at some point. It's just a matter of um, the time and the confidence, and I think the confidence might come by just doing it at some point and starting it, preferably before series is over, so that if it doesn't work, we have something still going on. But if it does, we'll know that we can do it. And I think when that series comes, whenever that series comes, um, I think that's going to be a different schedule altogether. I think that's one that would um, warrant like maybe 1 or 2 days a week, so that there can be longer episodes because there's going to be a lot of editing involved when that idea comes up, to fruition. So, and you'll know because the first episode I make, this is the one. This is the one that I want to do, and I pray to God I can make it look good. So we will see. Interestingly enough, because we can't catch Pokemon for the first time in a long time, we're not going to get the fishing rod. I think we're going to go get the lure balls. We talked about this briefly in episode 2. It might make sense to have a handful of Pokeballs on hand. That's where a handful would be, right? Uh, Mostly on the rare chance that we run into a shiny. I would hate to encounter a shiny without a Pokeball. Uh, and I just feel like that would be my luck in this run, is we would encounter a shiny here on stream and not be able to do anything with it. So we might get the lure balls just to have them, because we're still training in the wild. We're still encountering Pokemon. We just can't catch them. And I think, as with a regular Nuzlocke we would do on the channel, there should be a Shining Clause. If we run into a shiny and we catch it, well, that's just a gift, from the RNG, right? So I think that's the justification there. Shining Clause is always a clause. If you're adamant against that, leave a comment down below. Tell me why. But I feel like so far this small community we've started to build is very supportive of this stuff. So the other thing I need you to let me know in the comments, I've said this now for a couple episodes, but we found a dome fossil in episode 1. We found it. Randomized items, easy for me to say. So it wasn't a gift by any stretch of the imagination. It was a found item. So we've got a very long time before we can even revitalize a fossil. So we're just going to stash it in the bag for now. Typically, I would sell it this early in the game because we're so far away. And in this game, even if we did it, having to train it up. Anyway, not the point. In this kind of run where gift Pokemon are few and far between, um, if we want to count it as a gift because the randomizer gifted us that item, then let me know in the comments below. And if you think not, that's fine too. Let me know in the comments down below. Um, it is in the bag. Much like the Wednesday episode, we are going to try to keep this episode to roughly 30 minutes or so. My hope is we can definitely beat all these trainers around town here and then see how far into the cave we can get. I think we might be able to get through the cave. There's only a handful of trainers in there. And if we can get into the next town, maybe we can, at least get to the next town and save in there. Because, see, inside there's a trainer up above. There's 1, 2, 3, 5 trainers total in there. We've got 3 left here. I think we can do it. I think we can do it. Any chance we get a flinch here? We do. We do. And I think Xblood has Aftermath, right? We learned that in episode 2. Xblood has Aftermath. Boom, level 20. Look at us go. Look at us go. All right, so full disclosure, by the time this video goes up on Friday, we get another Aftermath and Xblood. The series might be over. Never count your chickens before they hatch. Panthers are a good team. But I just gotta say that the hit by Kachuk on Hathaway in the Bruins and Panthers game. Really wasn't paying attention. I have no idea what's coming in. Hopefully, Denny P67 can handle it. This might have counter. We're higher level. Let's screech it first. Uproar. Okay, we're fine. That hit was stupid. But then the nudging at Linus Olmark after a play. I guess the whistle hadn't gone, but the puck's been chucked down the other side. And then on top of that, so I know two Bruins players with a little bald spot. I know those two Bruins players tackle him to the ground and all that, but then he gets up after the refs kind of start separating people, and he goes after Olmark again. If he's not suspended for a game, you probably know by the time this episode goes up, if he is or isn't, again, the series might be over if the Bruins win on Wednesday. It doesn't matter. But if he's not, then I hope the Wednesday game opened with a fight. I hope McAvoy, the first time Kachuk steps on the ice, just drops gloves and old school hockey justice. Because there's pestering, and then there's just blatant disregard for safety and unwritten rules. And I think he crossed the line there. We definitely want rock slide. That's not crossing a line. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. I gotta say too, Monday, 3 episodes of recording, right? And I've said at least 1,000 times. Well, anyway, and each time I think of Mike Rowe, who has the podcast. That's the way I heard it, and his sign off is, well, anyway, that's the way I heard it, and I've wanted to say that's the way I've heard it 1,000 times because I've said, well, anyway. If you don't listen to it, it's a great little podcast. It's changed format a little bit in the last couple of years, last year and a half or so. We took that off of BrodaCon, so we could put it on the AP67. But really, it started off as just a 7 to 10-ish minute episodes at a time, and they were always regarding some historical figure or fact or artifact, and some maybe fictionalized, maybe elaborated. I'm an English major. I have a master's in English. Sensationalized. That's what we're trying to come up with. Story about an oddity or, something in that person's life or in the existence of that object. Anyway, that's the way I heard. And so he also has a book called That's the Way I Heard It, where he intersplices stories like that with some of his biography of how he got to be where he got to be. And if you're not a Mike Rowe fan, you're missing out. I think Mike Rowe has a lot of good points about just life in general. I often say, because of Mike Rowe and Dirty Jobs, Safety Third. And I remember he has a much better breakdown of it but my very, very basic version of it is sometimes if we're taking safety literally first, like safety first literally, we wouldn't do the thing to begin with. There, there'd be no reason to ever do it because it's inherently not safe. So, safety third isn't to belittle the importance of safety and the importance of safety measures. It's to say that sometimes, there are things that if we take literally, anyway. But the book is great. The podcast is great. I highly recommend both. If you are a podcast fan, if you are a book fan, I've said this, I think, before I don't know if it's this series or others, but one of my favorite genres, if you will, I don't know why I've been working on a Dusty Rhodes impression, maybe WrestleMania build up, I don't know. Anyway, not a good one yet, but uh, I really enjoy autobiographies, specifically on Audible or wherever you get your audiobooks, not sponsored. I use Audible. I really love when I find an autobiography read by the author because there's something just special about it. There's something that's just fun to hear the author tell his or her story. Um, and though a lot of the, autobiographies of politicians or actors or actresses, um, and you can kind of hear their voice in your head when you read their story. Hearing their voice in your ears when they read their story just gives it, I don't know, like I feel like the intonation that they place in certain spots, I feel like the cadence that they adapt for certain parts of the book um, is more authentic because they're telling the story the way it happened for them. And they know where that cadence needs to be in that story because they lived that cadence. And that sentence should sound like this because this is how I heard it. Um, and so I just love that aspect of it. It's just fun to hear, someone's story in their own words. And I'll say this. We had one of these. Maybe this is going to be a recurring feature on the channel. We had one of these in episode 2. But if you need a paper topic idea for the end of the semester, I know we're getting close to the end of semesters for lots of schools around the areas, lots of colleges, high schools. But there's a great literary theory that I absolutely love called The Death of the Author, and it's by Roland Barthes, and I have no idea if I'm saying Barthes correctly, or if it's like Barthes or some other pronunciation. So I apologize if I'm mispronouncing it wrong. Let me know in the comments how to pronounce it correctly. But in The Death of the Author, again, we're gonna condense this down into like a soundbite version of this. It's, 12-page essay, whatever it is. The argument is made that no matter what the author is intending when he or she writes a book, once they've put the words and the story out there, the only thing that really matters about the story is the reader and how the reader reads it. And while context is important for a lot of things, it's whatever context the reader has or seeks out or just imbues into the story that really affects the story for the reader. Because we're going to read it however we read it. And their work, we might be close, we might be way off from what they intended, and neither is a wrong answer. It just is what it is. So, I think there's something to be said, some literary paper that could be derived from this idea that I personally enjoy listening to authors read their stories, specifically in the autobiography world, because it adds a level of authenticity and takes a little bit of the intonation, syntax, contextual questions away. Maybe that's the right way to say it. Um, so it's interesting that one of my favorite literary theories is about the death of the author, and yet one of my favorite things to do is have the author read it to me so that I can feel a little bit closer to the author. So I don't know. Interesting. Maybe that's a psychological paper. I don't know. But an interesting tidbit I thought I'd share there that I really enjoy, and it makes me just want to reread The Death of the Author, and you got me feel more familiar with that yet again, because I feel like the further I get away from it, the more I'm like, do I really remember all those things correctly? Is that really how, what more can I add to this thought process and all that? I will say this too. I've noticed it's been 13 years since I got my undergraduate degree, or my bachelor's, I should say. Okay, I'm having lots of thoughts. The first is naturally in this series, this would happen. As that thought's going through my head, there's this other thought of we talked about shinies. This could be something to help with the shinies. I say the shinies as if we're going to encounter 72 of them. So, mooted reaction, not yay, not nay, but naturally in a gift only. Pokemon Run. Will we find that so early? Where was that in Heart Gold? Where was that in Leaf Green? Not mad about it. Not mad about it. We're gonna have grinding montages. We're 8,000 something, right? We can go on a shiny hunt. We'll find a route with a really broken Pokemon, and we're gonna go shiny hunt Kyogre. Not tonight. Not tonight. You know what? Maybe the first stream ever will have to be a weekend stream when we go shiny hunt Kyogre. That would be insane. What I was gonna say before we found the Master Ball that we can't use is that I've noticed lately that 13 years later that there are some concepts that we taught or I was taught in school that seem to make more sense now than they did then. And the one that comes to mind the most, and again, pronunciation, forgive me if it's a little bit off, but T.S. Eliot's The Objective Correlative. Correlative? Correlative. That thing. The OC. And the point of the OC is essentially that an author imbues an item with a lot of positive, subtly, by the way, subtly imbues a specific item in the story with positive vibes so that when it comes back around later as like a more pivotal piece of the plot, then it has like a weighted meaning because of this subliminal additional um, nuance that's been kind of maybe interspliced. And I'll never forget that in college, in fact, when we had to write something about it, I did a poem around it, I think, and it was always negative. It was always negative. And I think there's got to be a negative version of it. But T.S. Eliot was specifically talking about there being more of a positive impact. I just realized, too, that we fought in an arena that probably had double kick and we got really lucky right there. We talked about that in episode 2. And I was so busy talking about T.S. Eliot that didn't cross my mind until it was too late. And Growl came up, and the moment I saw Growl, I'm like, oh my gosh, the move set might have double kick in there. Shnikes. But we survived. We're fine. We're fine. We're fine. We're fine. Everything's hunky-dory. That's the second time today. I said to my wife before she left for work, hunky-dory. And both times I've said hunky-dory today. Don't say it very often. But both times, I have immediately thought of the great album by David Bowie, Hunky Dory. So there's some useless trivia you guys weren't looking for. I'm sure you all were not. Well, we've learned the hard way, right? Was that heart gold? We got a Magmarizer early on. We sold it early on, and then we caught a Magmar. We never really had a fire type on the team. If we'd had the Magmarizer, we maybe would have evolved it. But we're going to hold on to that on the off chance that one of our Pokemon is a Magby or a Mag. All I can think of is Magmortar. What is Magmar? Goodness gracious. Telling you. Did not think I was going to record another episode tonight. Did not think I was going to record 2 more episodes tonight. Really happy with myself. You know, I said this in the last episode. I'm just in this really good place right now in my life where I feel like I'm pushing myself to do things that, on paper or in my head, I'm like, I don't want it. Like, so typically I put up more of a fight with myself and be like, do you really want to do this, Sebastian? Do you really want to stay up late? Do you really want to like get on the Peloton? Because usually it's like, there's that same voice that's like, are you sure you want McDonald's? And I'm like, yes, I want McDonald's. And the other voice is like, all right, don't yell at me. Okay, go get McDonald's, please, calm down. And then right now the internal in my head is more like, you really want McDonald's? I'm like, no, I don't. I guess not. But and they're like, you're going to get on the Peloton instead? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get on the Peloton instead. So, which makes it sound like I have a really bad relationship in my head. And I guess sometimes I do. Who doesn't? But I just feel like recently it's kind of been flipped. My mind is getting on me about the things I shouldn't do better. And I'm listening. And it's getting on my mind is, what did I just say? My mind is holding me more accountable to the bad things that I shouldn't be doing when trying to diet and exercise and get a little bit more control of that aspect of my life, and is pushing me to be better in the places it should. That makes sense. Of course it doesn't to me right now because I'm 7 ways tangled inside my own head, but that's all well and good. Basically, sometimes your inner voice is your best friend and sometimes it's your worst enemy. And I'm just realizing we never rock smashed up above the Pokemon Center. We've only got one more uh, uh, trainer to battle, so let's go all the way back. Let's go get ourselves whatever item we can find up there. Pray there's a hidden item in the Rock Smash Rock. Then we'll cross back through the cave. We'll face the last trainer of the day. We'll mock ourselves and see what the encounter would have been. Then we'll go to the PC, the Pokemon Center, and we will. Oh, we'll save there. Let's see if I can do this one. Again, I can't sync the sound, so let's imitate some of these. We did Regice last time, I think. So Gastrodon was something like. See if we can kill it, and I can tell you. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna listen when this faints. Oh, sorry, it was more like. More of a splashy sound than a waka waka waka, but I don't have enough saliva in my mouth to make a splashy sound, and I feel like if I did, that would be gross. I guess I could have tried to take a drink of water in between real quick and made it work, but it's all good. That was too computer generated of a sound. Yeah, I can't. I can't do that one. I don't know why. I'm laughing at myself. I don't know why this episode has turned into me doing Pokemon cries. But it did. It did. I watched all of those things, especially like Vinny Nintendo 151, original 151, like the can you guess the Pokemon by their feet? Can you guess the Pokemon by their shoe size? Can you guess the Pokemon by the deodorant they use or whatever those things are? Um, kind of mock a little bit, but I do enjoy them. I try to play along, and I'm better at some than others. But when they do the Pokemon cries, I'm like, I'm that kid that grew up with the thing on mute and headphones in, listening to something else on the thing. We got another fossil. We got another fossil. What do we do about the fossils? Can we put items up in this game? I have never in my life tried to deposit an item in this game because the Pokemon bag is so much better. I don't know what that is, so no. Okay, that's fine. We'll just keep the root fossil in there with the dome fossil, and now we have potentially 2 gift Pokemon or $500 per fossil. All well and good. Either way. I have no idea what I was talking about. None whatsoever pre-root fossil. None. Other than the fact that we got into like Pokemon cries. Oh, that's what we're talking about. Like those Pokemon challenges. Yeah, Pokemon cries. I played the games muted. Um, actually, I don't think I really played a game with the sound on, other than the games on the Switch. But even then, half the time, it depends on what we're playing, right? So if I'm just taking on a bunch of Terra raids to try to train up and maybe get some more Urban Mystica and stuff. I mean, unless it feels like it's gonna be a really hard one, like I might listen to an audiobook because I'm not reading any dialogue. I'm not paying too close of attention. I mean, I trained up listening to an audiobook on this. If we're just training, I played Pokemon enough. A lot of it's muscle memory on what buttons to click for which attacks and all that stuff. Although I might have to use a stinking repel just to get through this back to the cave because for some reason this grass this time it's just overflowing with Pokemon. Oftentimes I'll play Pokemon with, like I said, maybe an audiobook on if I'm not trying to pay attention to any like dialogue. When I'm playing, more recently like Legends Arceus or Legends Arceus is different too because of the shiny sound. Not that I've found, I think, more than one shiny in Legends Arceus anyway. But if I'm playing Scarlet and Violet just to train stuff up and beat some, 4 or 5 star Terra raids, and then probably listen to an audiobook. And then there's times where I have music on in the background, so it's really rare for me to actually listen to the Pokemon game sound while playing the game. And I know that's blasphemous because there's so many great soundtracks, and I do know them, or okay, I know of them. I have heard them. I couldn't tell you which is what town more often than not. Um, I do enjoy the Pokemon music. I just enjoy audiobooks or like recently I've been on a big Paramore kick. I mean Paramore's always been one of my favorite bands anyway, but it's been several weeks since This Is Why came out and went back and started listening and just wake up almost daily now with something, one song or another stuck in my head. So a third fossil, I think it's a second dome. So we got 2 of those and yeah, all right. Um, but yeah, something like that, or Churches is a band I love listening to. I can listen to them on repeat all day, every day. And they just recently dropped over the new single, "Wake Me Up When They're Wake Me Up When It's Over." Tell me it was all just a dream, and I'll believe it. Um, Stuff like that. Just love my bands and we'll listen to them. Sometimes it's podcasts. Wait, wait, don't tell me, the NPR News Quiz, Armchair Expert. I've really kind of shied away from some of the wrestling podcasts I used to be really big into, in part because while the main host is still there, the main guys, and this is not a knock on like the B person, but maybe it's different because it's really been 8 months since I've with any regularity listen to any of the like Grill and JR or 83 Weeks, specifically those two, but just doesn't have the same feel when it's not Conrad Thompson having the conversation. And the other part of that for me is I know they have their own ad free network, but there are so many ads, just so many ads that they're almost forcing you to go to the ad free shows or ad free network or whatever they call it. And I don't want to do that. I listen to every other podcast I listen to on Spotify, and I pay for Spotify Premium. If I can't, like, I'll happily sit through the handful of ads on Wait Wait Don't Tell Me. I'll sit through them on Armchair Expert, but like the ad breaks in those shows like Grilling Jar and A3 Weeks tend to be like 30, 40. No, that's not true. But they're like 3 or 4 minute ads too. It's not even like it's a short ad. So I've really kind of fallen away from those. I do still listen to Talk is Jericho semi regularly. It really depends on the subject of the conversation or the guest. Um, but yeah, otherwise, the two main ones are Armchair Expert, which I'm still trying to catch up on because they have so many within the family of the Armchair Expert network. Armchair Expert and Wait Wait Don't Tell Me every week. I've been listening to Wait Wait Don't Tell Me from NPR for. It's been on the show for 20 years. I would say it's probably a conservative estimate to say it's been. Would 15 years be 19? No, it has to be longer than that. I was definitely like 15, 16. So I guess I couldn't be if they've only been on the air for 20 years. No, that math is good, right? 20 from 34 is 14. So 18, yeah. I don't know what I'm mathing. I think I was trying to make myself 39 in my math back up. I don't know. So I've probably been listening to them for 17 years, let's just say. Because that would put me at 17. Um, anyway, love what we're doing, Tommy. Not sponsored by any of the anythings that we've talked about today. What I am sponsored by is just my love of doing this, my love of the community that we're starting to build here. I greatly appreciate it. I hope this is a safe space for you to come, be yourself, enjoy the Pokemon, have some fun. I hope that my energy is infectious for you and that you can take some of that good spirit that I'm feeling right now in my life and bring it into yours. And if your day's not going well, reach out, through DMs. We want to be a safe space. We want to be a place where we can build positivity, build some better self confidence, try some things we've never tried, conquer our fear, conquer anxiety, conquer our nerves as a community. And we can do that together. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all genders, we are going to wrap it up right here. So until next time.